The history of human mortality is a tapestry woven with diverse threads of tradition. Cultures across time and geography have developed unique ways of handling death and the physical remains of loved ones. While burial has been the most widespread practice, cremation, the act of reducing a body to ashes through fire, has also held a significant place in human history. In ancient Greece and Rome, cremation was a common practice, often associated with honor and the swift release of the soul. The Greeks, for instance, believed that cremation purified the soul and enabled it to ascend to the afterlife. For the Romans, cremation symbolized a quick and dignified transition from the earthly realm. Conversely, other cultures, including the ancient Egyptians, viewed the preservation of the body through mummification as essential for the afterlife journey. They believed that the physical body housed the soul, and its preservation was crucial for the soul's continued existence. This historical overview reveals the diversity of beliefs and practices surrounding death. It underscores the deeply personal and cultural nature of these rituals, each reflecting a unique understanding of life, death, and the afterlife. The Bible, a foundational text for Christianity, does not explicitly prohibit or endorse cremation. Its pages, rich with stories and teachings, are relatively silent on the specific practice of cremation. This silence has led to much debate and interpretation among theologians and believers. Some scholars argue that the absence of a direct command against cremation suggests a degree of permissibility. They point to the Bible's focus on the soul's eternal destiny, suggesting that the physical body is temporary and its ultimate fate of lesser importance. Others interpret the Bible's silence as an indication that burial, the prevailing practice in biblical times, is the preferred method of handling the deceased. They cite numerous biblical accounts of burials, arguing that these examples serve as a model for believers to follow. The lack of explicit instruction on cremation in the Bible leaves room for individual interpretation and conscience. It calls for careful consideration of biblical principles, cultural contexts, and personal convictions. The world of the Bible was one where burial was the norm. This practice was not just a matter of tradition but was deeply rooted in the cultural and religious fabric of the time. Burial customs varied across different regions and periods, but the underlying principle remained the same: to honor the deceased and provide them with a dignified resting place. From the patriarchs of the Old Testament to the early Christians, laying loved ones to rest in the earth was a deeply ingrained practice. This act of burial was seen as a final act of love and respect, ensuring that the deceased were remembered and honored. The rituals surrounding burial were often elaborate, involving specific rites and ceremonies that reflected the beliefs and values of the community. The Bible offers numerous examples of this custom, shedding light on its significance in ancient Israelite culture. For instance, the burial of the dead was often accompanied by mourning rituals, which could include tearing of clothes, wearing sackcloth, and fasting. These practices were expressions of grief and a way to show solidarity with the bereaved family. In Genesis, we encounter the story of Abraham, who purchases a burial cave for his wife, Sarah. This cave, known as the Cave of Machpelah, became a significant family tomb, where other patriarchs and matriarchs were later buried. This act of securing a burial place underscores the importance of having a designated and sacred space for the deceased. This act highlights the importance placed on a proper burial place for loved ones. It was believed that being buried in a family tomb ensured that the deceased remained connected to their lineage and heritage. The family tomb served as a physical reminder of the family's history and continuity. Later, when Jacob dies, his sons carry his body back to the family burial ground in Canaan, demonstrating the significance of ancestral burial sites. This journey was not just a physical act but a symbolic one, representing the return to one's roots and the importance of maintaining familial bonds even in death. The Gospels narrate the burial of Jesus, a pivotal event in the Christian faith. His burial was carried out with great care and reverence, reflecting the Jewish burial customs of the time. The preparation of Jesus' body, the use of spices and linen, and the placement in a rock-hewn tomb all highlight the meticulous attention given to burial practices. After his crucifixion, Jesus' body is prepared for burial according to Jewish tradition and laid in a tomb. This act of burial was not just a conclusion to his earthly life but also a prelude to the resurrection, a cornerstone of Christian belief. The burial and subsequent resurrection of Jesus underscore the profound spiritual significance attached to burial practices. This event, central to Christian belief in the resurrection, further underscores the prevalence of burial practices in biblical times. The resurrection narrative also highlights the hope and faith in life after death, a belief that was intricately linked to the burial customs of the time. These examples illustrate the significance of burial in the biblical world. Burial was not merely a practical necessity, but a deeply meaningful act that reflected the community's values, beliefs, and hopes for the afterlife. It was a way to honor the dead, maintain family and community ties, and express faith in a continued existence beyond death. It was not merely a practical necessity, but a deeply meaningful act, reflecting beliefs about respect for the dead and hope for the afterlife. The care and reverence shown in burial practices reveal a profound understanding of life, death, and the eternal, making burial customs a vital aspect of biblical culture and spirituality. Section 4. Burning questions, key passages, and their interpretations. While the Bible doesn't directly address cremation, certain passages are often cited in discussions about its permissibility. These discussions often revolve around interpreting the broader themes and principles found within the Scriptures. The Bible, being a collection of texts written over centuries, offers a variety of perspectives on life, death, and the afterlife. This makes it a rich source for theological debate and personal reflection. These verses, though not explicit pronouncements on cremation, offer insights into biblical perspectives on death, the body, and the afterlife. For instance, the Bible often speaks of the body in metaphorical terms, comparing it to a temple or a vessel. This metaphorical language can be interpreted in various ways, leading to different conclusions about the appropriateness of cremation. One such passage is Genesis chapter 3, verse 19, which states, "For dust you are, and to dust you shall return." This verse is often cited in discussions about the natural cycle of life and death. It emphasizes the idea that our physical bodies are temporary and will eventually return to the earth. This can be seen as a poetic reminder of our mortality and the transient nature of physical existence. Some interpret this verse as emphasizing the body's physical decomposition, suggesting that the method of decomposition, whether through burial or cremation, is inconsequential. They argue that what matters is the return to dust, not the process by which it happens. This perspective can be comforting to those who prefer cremation for practical or personal reasons. Others point to 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 19 to 20, where Paul writes, "Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God?" This passage highlights the sacredness of the human body, suggesting that it should be treated with respect and care. The idea of the body as a temple implies a level of sanctity that some believe is best preserved through traditional burial practices. "You are not your own, for you were bought with a price." This line underscores the belief that our bodies are not merely our own possessions, but are entrusted to us by God. This can lead to the interpretation that we have a responsibility to treat our bodies in a way that honors this divine trust. So glorify God in your body. This concluding exhortation from Paul serves as a call to live in a way that reflects our reverence for the divine. For some, this means choosing burial over cremation as a way to honor the sanctity of the body. This passage, emphasizing the body as a sacred vessel, is often used to argue for the respectful treatment of the body, potentially favoring burial over cremation. However, interpretations vary widely, and what constitutes respectful treatment can differ based on cultural, theological, and personal beliefs. These verses, among others, provide glimpses into broader biblical themes that can inform our understanding of cremation. They invite us to consider the deeper spiritual and ethical implications of how we treat our bodies after death. The Bible's rich tapestry of teachings offers a framework for reflection, but it also leaves room for individual interpretation and discernment. However, it's crucial to approach these passages within their proper context and avoid drawing definitive conclusions where the Bible itself remains silent. The diversity of interpretations highlights the importance of thoughtful and respectful dialogue. Ultimately, the decision about cremation is a personal one, informed by faith, tradition, and individual conscience. Section 5. Body and Soul. Theological Considerations on Death and Resurrection. Theological considerations about the nature of death, the afterlife, and the resurrection of the body play a crucial role in shaping perspectives on cremation. These beliefs are deeply rooted in centuries of religious thought and tradition, influencing how different cultures and denominations approach the end of life. The way we treat the body after death is not just a matter of personal or familial preference, but is often seen as a reflection of our deepest spiritual convictions. Christian theology, drawing from both the Old and New Testaments, affirms the belief in the soul's eternal existence and the ultimate resurrection of the body. This dual belief in the immortality of the soul and the future resurrection of the body has profound implications for how Christians view death and the treatment of the deceased. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is central to this belief, serving as a cornerstone of Christian faith and hope. The concept of resurrection, central to Christian faith, raises questions about the body's role in the afterlife. If the body is to be resurrected, how should it be treated in death? This question has led to various theological debates and differing practices among Christian communities. Some argue that the body should be preserved as much as possible, while others believe that the state of the body at resurrection is ultimately in God's hands. If the body is merely a temporary vessel, its ultimate fate, whether buried or cremated, might be deemed less significant. This perspective suggests that the soul's journey and its eternal destination are of greater importance than the physical remains left behind. However, this view is not universally accepted, and many hold that the body, as a creation of God, deserves careful and respectful treatment. However, if the resurrection involves the restoration of the physical body, the method of its disposal could be perceived as holding greater weight. This belief underscores the importance of the body's integrity and the hope of its future transformation. The idea that the body will be restored to a glorified state at the end of times adds a layer of sacredness to how it is treated after death. Furthermore, the notion of the body as a temple of the Holy Spirit, as articulated by Paul, introduces the concept of bodily sanctity. This idea emphasizes that the body is not just a physical entity, but a vessel of divine presence. Therefore, how we treat the body in life and death reflects our reverence for the divine. This perspective suggests that the body, even in death, deserves respectful treatment. The rituals and practices surrounding death and burial are seen as acts of honor and reverence, acknowledging the body's role as a sacred vessel. This respect extends to the way we handle the remains, whether through burial or cremation. Whether cremation aligns with this concept of respect remains a point of contention. Some argue that cremation is a dignified and respectful way to handle the body, while others believe that it does not honor the body's sanctity in the same way that burial does. This debate continues to evolve as cultural and theological perspectives shift. Theological reflections on death and resurrection provide a framework for understanding the complexities surrounding cremation. These reflections invite us to consider not only the fate of the body, but also the broader spiritual and existential questions about life, death, and what lies beyond. They challenge us to think deeply about our beliefs and how they shape our practices. They highlight the profound questions about the body's significance in light of eternity and the respectful treatment it deserves even in death. These considerations remind us that our approach to death and the afterlife is deeply intertwined with our understanding of the sacred and the eternal, urging us to treat the body with the dignity and respect it warrants.